about sports, me and you. Roope and Rumsey is their name. Chat about things from the latest game. Roope and Rumsey, oh Rumsey. It's time for Roope and Rumsey.
All right. Well, welcome to another edition of the R&R Show. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best little sports show ever. I'm your host, Michael Roope, and this is my co-host, William Rumsey. Hello, William.
Howdy.
All right. Well, we have got a great segment in store for everybody watching at home. We've got the top 7 sports announcers / host, podcast, whatever, of on our personal list. We went top 7 on this list.
Historical.
Yeah, historical. It can be right now, back then, whenever. Who's your top 7 all-time sports guys that announced or hosted any kind of sports venue? So, without further ado, let's jump right in, William, and go to your number 7.
Booger McFarland.
We would have cut this show short and got him out of here. I would have got a replacement.
I assume you had probably a Booger McFarland joke in there somewhere.
No. You know what? I cut ties and got him out of here way back in the day, so we're good with all the boogerness.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got Chris Berman and Tom Jackson. I'm putting them as one.
Hey, and you know what? They somewhere on my list they may have been higher, but what did you like about them?
Okay. Just obviously being an NFL fan, they are Sunday staples. You know, you got Chris Berman's enthusiasm, his nicknames, and then you've got Tommy Jackson's voice of reason coming from the player's perspective. Side note, do you know how old Tom Jackson is?
Well, I remember, because I am a football historian, he was a member of that Orange Crush defense back in like 77, which was a Super Bowl year for them. So he would probably be, if I'm doing my math right, let's see here, carry the 9, 68?
69.
Hey, listen, Uncle Donnie is just a wealth of
I didn't have it on my sheet. Hey, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. So, but no, Chris Berman, and I always think, obviously with prime time, and then in the home run derbies, back. I always remember for that. But I picked out my 2 favorite nicknames. Just, right off the top of my head, Mike, you're in good hands with Allstar.
Yes,
love that.
That's a great one.
I always got to enjoy out of Eric sleeping with the enemy.
Yep. Hey.
So that's my number 7.
That's a great. I'll go a little bit more in depth when I get to mine. But good number 7. My number 7 is, and I don't know if you've got the opportunity to watch him as an announcer at all, and I think he's passed away now. Dick Enberg. I
remember it a little bit.
And if you look on my wall, there's a Dick Enberg picture, and he coined the phrase, "Oh my."
Oh my.
Oh my.
I love him.
Yes.
We use that a lot.
And you know what? He coined that phrase. He actually even put it on the pic. But
was he big when the Buffalo Bills were doing their 4 losses?
Yes, he was. He actually partnered up with Merlin Olsen. And you know what? That's what drew me to Dick Enberg, was watching those back in the 80s, watching him announce with Merlin Olsen. Loved his games that he did. He was also a big sports guy. I believe he was the Padres equivalent to Marty Brennaman, but for the Padres. But he was a great announcer. I loved him to death and always enjoyed tuning in to watch him.
Good segue for my next gentleman. Dick Enberg was actually one of only the 4 announcers that have ever announced a Super Bowl and a men's college basketball championship.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So number 6 on the list is Jim Nantz.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, friend.
Yes. You know what? Jim is a, in everybody's homes is follows sports these days.
And the other two were Kevin Harlan and Kurt Gowdy.
Okay.
Those
okay. A little trivia for everyone at home. Absolutely.
Yeah. And now he's with Tony Romo, who did not make my list. I love Romo. I know you don't.
Well, I'm starting to soften my stance on
I'll
Tony.
tell you what, we do this 5 years from now, I think Tony Romo might be higher.
Well, I'm softening my stance on Tony Romo was absolutely horrific. I know one Jason Sullivan agrees with me, but he's gotten a lot better. I'm not going to lie; he's gotten so much better. He's pretty much done a 180. I think he's pretty good right now, but not.
But Jim Nantz, he's done the Masters, Final Four, Super Bowls, tennis, college football, Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and the Olympics.
Yeah.
And if I had one person to narrate my life, it would be Jim Nantz.
Oh yeah, I mean he's on a lot of the football life stories as a or the Super Bowl stories. He has that intro. He's great voice.
My number 6.
My number 6 is one Al Michaels.
Oh.
Was he on your list?
I think he's number 5.
Okay, well, number 6, Al Michaels. We'll kind of tag team this. Is your number 5, my number 6. I mean, obviously, he did the most iconic call in sports history with the Miracle on Ice.
Can you do
that? Probably not as good. Why don't you give me?
I'm not good at that stuff.
No, give it to me.
I can't.
Come on.
Do you believe in miracles?
You're right. You're not good at it. Do you believe in miracles?
Yes.
Yes. Listen, Al Michaels, for anybody that watches sports, he definitely, he will make, I don't care who you are, he'll make you good. For sure. Just for the simple fact he's as steady as they come. Following up kind of like with the Jim Nantz, the Super Bowls, the World Series. He called some of the most iconic games. You probably, one of his favorite games he ever called. His first love was baseball, calling his baseball games. And obviously, before our legend, Marty Brennaman, came along, he was the Reds announcer. A lot of people probably at home did not know that. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, before Marty, that was Al.
I feel bad that I don't know.
Yeah, Al Michaels was the Reds play-by-play announcer before. Yeah, so that's pretty impressive to go from Al Michaels to Marty Brennaman. We've been spoiled in Reds country. But one of his most iconic games was a Red Sox-Angels playoff game. I believe it might have been around 86, 87. If you've never seen that game, check that out. That was one of the greatest back-and-forth baseball games ever. But he's done so many iconic calls. Besides the Miracle on Ice, I mean, all those Super Bowls, most recently a lot of those Patriot big wins. But, yeah, I mean, he's about as good as they come.
He also did Game 3 of the World Series in '89, the earthquake.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
That was one of his.
Was he with Tim McCarver then?
I'm not sure.
I think he might have been.
That sounds right. But obviously, he was the voice of Monday Night Football for 2 decades. Now he's on Sunday Night Football with Mr. Collinsworth. I love him too. Yep. I don't know how you feel about him.
Well, that's so funny. I was going to put him on my list. I know a lot of people at home probably don't like him, but I think we share the. I think he is elite.
I think he's great.
And you know what? I tried to find a spot. I couldn't. I tried to mix it up a little bit, but Collinsworth is definitely on my.
Al Michaels is a little funny tidbit though. He was traded. You know about this, right? He was traded from ABC, ESPN, Disney to NBC in 2006 for 4 Ryder Cup broadcasts. They granted ESPN increased usage of Olympic highlights and sold Disney the rights to Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, a cartoon character developed by Walt Disney, but he lost it in 1928.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, I knew they did a. I didn't know that part. I know they did a trade because they knew Sunday Night Football was going to be such a big thing, and when they had Madden, they wanted a heavyweight. Basically, in my opinion, probably the greatest team ever with those two. But yeah, that's obviously Al Michaels.
Yeah. So he was my 5.
Yep. My number 5, we just talked about him with Al, is Marty Brennaman.
Yeah.
Anybody, that's, a Cincinnati guy, Marty Brennaman, iconic. Those late summer games, him and Joe Obviously nothing's better than watching or listening to a baseball game back in the day in the summer, listening to Marty and saying this one belongs to the Reds. Yeah. I mean, it didn't get any better than Marty. Yeah. And Marty is basically, he came in such a good time right at the beginning of those World Championships with the Big Red Machine. I believe he got in there maybe around 74.
Him and Nantz.
74-ish, and the Big Red Machine won 75, 76. So great iconic voice for this area.
Do we know what Marty's up to nowadays?
I don't know. I think he's pitching some kind of doors or sale. I see him on some commercials here and there, but no, Marty will always be in the city, of course. So.
All right. My number 4 is Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons, I know you
the
talk
sports
about.
Guy. I love Bill Simmons.
I don't actually read or watch, or what does he do? Does he does a podcast?
He does a podcast. He owns the website The Ringer. And he just sold The Ringer to Spotify for about $200 million.
Good choice there.
Yeah. But no, I started reading Bill. He was on, I don't know if you remember, Page 2 on ESPN.com way back in the day, probably early 2000. So I've been reading Bill for almost, I'd say probably somewhere between 15 and 20 years.
Oh, wow.
He's from Boston. He has a Boston spin on everything, so he loves the Patriots, Red Sox, and he always weaves in pop culture. But he used to be a writer. I loved his writing. But then he stopped writing. He wrote a book, The Book of Basketball. It's a great book where he ranked all the NBA players at the time. Like, I think that book came out in 2012. But now he's just solely a podcaster, does interviews, just talks about sports. Him and Ryan Russillo.
Which I enjoy, right?
But yeah, he's just my favorite sports writer, and now my favorite. And it's kind of my inspiration a little bit for this show.
For the R&R?
Yeah.
Okay. I like it.
So love me some Bill Simmons.
All right. So that would be what? Your number 4?
Number 4.
Yeah, my number 4 is somebody I think I've touched on in maybe some past telecasts, but one Jimmy the Greek. Love me some Jimmy the Greek. If you were growing up in the 80s watching the CBS Sportscast with Brent Musburger, nothing got me fired up more than Jimmy the Greek, because he would do his picks of the week. Something that we will be touching on when football season comes upon us, hopefully, knock on wood. But Jimmy the Greek, he had an edge. You never knew what Jimmy the Greek you would get. He had some run-ins with a lot of people, but Jimmy the Greek was, just the gambling aspect of it. I just love watching you. I liked his persona, and I enjoyed it.
Again, it's before my time, so I don't really have much.
And I'll share one little Jimmy the Greek story. Brent Musburger had.
I know I do almost knock his mug over.
Beat the Greek. But one quick little Jimmy the Greek story that Brent Musburger shared one time. Jimmy was obviously a notorious gambler, and he liked. Sometimes he said it got the best of him, because if he was on a losing streak, everybody was kind of watching what he did. Well, he would sell one of his schlacky crony guys to go put in a bet on, if they were at the horse track, on every horse. That way, he was guaranteed a winner, so people would see he would win. Jimmy the Greek was a character.
That sounds like a crony.
Yeah, he was pretty good. So go ahead. What do you got for your number 3?
I have the dynamic duo, Michael Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser, PTI.
Yes, PTI is near and dear to my heart.
I love PTI. I think I started watching it when it first came out, and I religiously watched it for years.
Yeah.
It's kind of fallen off. I mean,
it's kind of fallen off, but everything always does.
So, I mean, that's just, they really created what sports talk shows are now. Topics, banner, arguing. Started in October of 2001, and that bad boy is still going.
And you know what? And the concept is great.
Yeah.
And I just like how they break it down
I think that's another influence on the R&R show.
It should be too, because how they do just real short topics.
Yeah.
I mean, if we did probably a show for an hour, or I don't know, however it is, a half hour, but they touch on so many topics in that short, compact time.
But I love both of those guys.
Yep.
They just fit well. Tony Kornheiser's the crotchety old man, and Will Bond's just there for to make fun of Tony.
They're definitely a great duo. My number 3, and you've already touched on him, is Chris Berman. Again, just to follow up with kind of what you said. He made nicknames cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he attached a nickname with, a couple people on every team. And, kind of like you said, the back home run. I always enjoyed when he would say, he could go all the way.
Now, did he give you the Uncle Donnie nickname?
He did not, but
okay.
I think he would think of something pretty cool. I don't know. Knowing Chris Berman, but kind of getting back to what you said with Tom Jackson. I didn't mention Tom Jackson on mine, but Chris Berman and Tom Jackson, before there was the Red Zone channel, you had these two to fill you in on these games, and they were so wildly popular.
Yeah.
They were the Red Zone channel before the Red Zone channel.
I like that.
I loved them. I loved them. So, who you guys your number 2?
I have Mr. John Madden.
John Madden. He may be on my list.
Yeah. Obviously, the Madden video games were a big part of everybody's life.
Yep.
I just listening to him announce games, drawing all over the screen, talking about turducken, the Turkey Leg Award.
Yep.
The humor between he and Pat Summerall.
Oh, yeah.
I love how he always spoke glowingly of Brett Favre.
Yep.
Brett Favre.
Yep.
Do you know who was on the first Madden cover? Unless you looked at it right.
I did not, but I will tell you this. I'll
1999.
I'll throw a guess out there, but I will tell you this about John Madden. Me and my brother was playing John Madden when it first came out. We were playing when it first came out on Sega. We played every single. We would buy it yearly, and we didn't know obviously when it would come today. But man, we'd play. A lot of those.
Well, he was on the cover for the first.
Yeah, I was going to say it's John
Madden.
The
first player was on the cover in '99. It was kind of obscure and not a very good player. Garrison Hurst.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I would not have gotten
it.
But no, John Madden was. That's what I was going to say. Was it John Madden because John Madden was on it because he was like this. And that was his picture, he had that picture.
But I just feel like he always enhanced the experience of a football game.
He did. That's a great choice. I'll get to him maybe in a pick or two here.
Very nice.
So my number 2 is, I talk about him often, is one Colin Cowherd.
Oh, I forgot about him.
Oh, Colin, and you know how much I love Colin. Colin Cowherd, he basically... he takes shots at people. He's not afraid to speak his mind. I like his takes on games. He does his pitch. He loves where he was right, where he is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Just Colin Cowherd for me. He's at the top of the game right now for sports talk show host. In my opinion, if you guys aren't watching him, you should. Colin Cowherd, definitely a must-watch for any sports fan.
I like his takes on things. He just has a unique, very, very unique take on the sports topics of the day. Have you read his books?
I have.
Is it very good?
Yeah, they're both good.
Do you have? Can I borrow it?
Yeah.
Oh, what happened the last time you
we have a real shaky history on him borrowing some of my books.
You do have a new Friday Night Lights book.
He's borrowed a couple books. It's been a little shaky on the return.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's get back to your number 1. Can I guess?
Yeah.
All right. It is. I am going to guess Joe Rogan.
Nah.
That would have been a good guess.
I had him on my list to potentially put him on a list.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, you talk Joe Rogan all the time.
Yeah, but...
You talk Joe Rogan, Bill Simmons.
That's a good... I love Joe Rogan, but I don't...
He talks about life.
Too. Yeah, he does UFC announcing.
Yeah.
He talks a lot about UFC. He does specific episodes for fighting. But I get a kick out of his... And he has a lot of comedians on. I don't like those... I like when he gets the human interest episodes.
Yeah.
That's what. So I just.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I know, but you like him. So
I do.
Go ahead.
I do.
Well, who's your number?
Dickie V.
Dick
Vitale.
Dickie V. Hey, ironically, he wasn't on any of my list, but he's obviously
he's got the VBDI, the Vitale Bulb Dome Index.
Yep.
I've always, growing up, I was just a huge college basketball fan. Now, the NFL is it now, but college basketball. So I grew up just listening to Dickie V. I mean, he did about all the big games on ESPN, and it just his passion for the game was just unparalleled.
Yeah, and
he always made me laugh. I always felt better after watching and listening to him.
You knew it was a big game when he was announcing.
Yeah, but I was looking. What stuck out to me, a quote that I found. He said, "I learned from my mom and dad, who didn't have a formal education but had doctorates of love. They told me that if you gave 110% all the time, a lot of beautiful things will happen. I may not always be right, but no one can ever accuse me of not having a genuine love and passion for whatever I do."
Very nice. You know what he does? He is. You can tell he cares. And what makes me love Dickie V so much is his love for one Robert Montgomery Knight.
Yes,
he loves him some Bobby Knight, and you know what? And I think that's because as a kid growing up in those '90 teams, watching Chaney and them, but he was always pounding on Robert. He loves Robert.
I think just his name too, Dickie V.
Yep.
It's just very unique. Yep. Just great branding.
Yep, he's an awesome dude. Well, my number one, you touched on him just a minute ago, was John Madden. In my eyes, he's the absolute gold standard in broadcasting, which everybody aspires to be. Besides the Madden game, which is unbelievably a cultural phenomenon, his enthusiasm for his broadcast, when you go with Pat Summerall and basically be the lead team for however long he did it, then you go from him to Al Michaels, and boy, I mean, this telecast, you knew it was the game of the week. Mm-hmm. And, just getting back to how you said the telecast, the circle, boom here and bam there and, a bow. But, he would, like during those 90s, it seemed like he had those Cowboy teams like every freaking week. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, he loved the big holds. He'd give the linemen a lot of love. Mm-hmm. And that's what was great about it. He wasn't just the name guys. He loved the workers. The worker bees of the bunch, and he would give them love. But John Madden, to me, the absolute gold standard of obviously the sports announcer /
him at 1, 2 for me. That
says a lot. Now, any honorable mentions you want to throw out there?
I would say Chris Collinsworth as well.
He was on mine right there.
Vern Lundquist.
Yeah, he's a great one.
Vern.
I had on my list Marv Albert. You couldn't watch an NBA game without hearing him going, yes!
Yes. You mentioned his name earlier, Brent Musburger.
Yep. I had Bob Costas for me because I was so young. He for a lot of people that at home that aren't as old as I am, NBC used to be one of the, not Fox, would be the NFL flag station, and he did the sports shows, the pregame shows and stuff. Who else?
I lost my train of thought.
I had Jim Nantz. You said him. I touched on Kirk Herbstreit, Lee Corso.
Yeah.
Not so fast, my friend.
Yeah.
Yes.
I lost my train of thought with the other one.
Well, all right. Listen, lots of, obviously great announcers out there. Let us know who we missed, where we were right, where we were wrong.
Oh, Stephen A. Smith.
Yes. I don't like him, but,
I have a love-hate with Stephen A., but
I've never been a big fan. And who is not on my list, I guarantee you, is one Shannon Sharp. Do not like listening to Shannon.
Get him out of here.
He might be. You know what? We might get him on a special segment because I just don't like. I
don't like Skip Bayless either.
No, both of them. Although they have a cool theme intro song.
They
Undisputed.
Do. They do.
Nah, I don't.
It's not as cool as Terry Hahn.
No, absolutely the magical and mystical.
The Roope.
Yeah,
magical and mystical.
Terry, we need you on set. But again, let us know where we were right, where we were wrong. Let us know who your guys' top announcer, sports figure, host, are, and we'd love to hear from you guys. Thanks. We'll see you next time.